Ladies and gentlemen, today what we're going to be doing is discussing the state of the game. I have my friend and coworker here, Valid Shot, to try to keep me honest about the game. And you are currently rank 1 Crusader as well, yeah?
I am for the first time in like 2 weeks here.
You have some pretty good competition on the Crusader board, though, from what I understand, yeah?
Yeah, I think there's two really. There's two people from Covenant over there. We got a Jimbo, a legend, by the way. The man massacres me in PvP every once in a while. And we have Gosu as well.
I have actually ran into both of those players, and yeah, you're right. In BG, they are actually terrifying. So now that you mentioned their names, I'm like, yeah, you do actually have some pretty good competition. So I want to talk about launch week first. What we're going to do in this video is we're going to break down launch week, and then after launch week, we're going to discuss how, as time goes on, our feelings may have shifted a little bit about the game. We're going to discuss some of the feedback about what we believe the game should include in order to become better, and then we'll give sort of our honest, hard take on maybe one of the biggest things that needs to change more near the end, and then we'll close out. So I want to start here by asking you this, Veldshad. Okay, so you're playing Crusader. It's the first week into the game for you. Do you regret your class choice yet?
Oh, this is a hard question because the only reason I picked the Crusader specifically was because I felt like the Crusader was just necessary. And I'm not wrong about that, I don't feel like. I feel like it's literally every party needs a Crusader. It speeds up everything. So in that sense, no. Like pure tryhard, no. But as like a player, I would say yes. I love the Monk. It's so freaking fun. And if I were to change to another class, it'd either be Monk or Wizard. And I think that's a little bit of class envy right there for me.
Okay, fair enough. If I was going to change the class to be a Wizard, the Wizard was originally what I was going to play, but I changed to Necro because it seemed to fit me more, right? But as time goes on and I was playing Wizard a little bit on the free-to-play, I realized like how much Wizard actually fits my playstyle and how much I really enjoy that style. So one thing I want to tell people that are watching this is like, if you're not playing the game super serious, like trying to be rank 1 or whatever and competing on the leaderboards, try alts. Like alts are actually just really, really fun, and you get ridiculous bonus experience. We were just talking about how you can get up to like what 360 bonus experience is what we've seen so far.
It's absolutely absurd, and if you do the battle pass stacking, like we said, you basically get a whole level from one battle pass level. Like how absurd is that?
Yeah, it's actually quite crazy. You can get over 3 million experience in just one click of the button, basically. So let's get into as things have moved past launch week. So launch week was pretty hype. I think we were all quite enjoying the game. 21 hours the first day for me. I'm sure you did probably even more. And at that point, we were all feeling the game pretty hard. Has that changed for you any as time have gone on, as we're kind of getting closer to closing out the first month?
Well, I think it's interesting because I feel like although the negative press was there, the launch was actually really good. Like it was completely smooth. There was no issues realistically. And it ended up being a really fun experience the first day. I played literally 26 hours straight, absolutely zero problems, really enjoyed the game. Logged in the next day, did the exact same thing, played like 19 hours. And I've definitely catered off that pace a lot since then. I would say I'm playing 8 to 12 hours a day at this point. And mainly because I'm focusing on like content and all the other stuff while playing the game still at what I would say a competitive pace. But the effort that I put in feels so not rewarding after a certain point. And that's what causes me to kind of play a little bit less as time goes on.
So now that you're playing a little bit less, you're still enjoying the game as much? You're just finding yourself doing different things?
Yeah, definitely. Like early on, I would literally sit there, jump in a dungeon, 17 hours a day straight. Now, when I look at it, I'm like, okay, I could do that, but there's not really a whole lot of point. I log in, I'll do my shadow contract, I'll do my my bounties, I'll go and jump into PvP. I love PvP, so I'll do that for 2 hours straight. Every single time I get a chance, make sure I get in the ancient arena. The daily activities are actually quite fun, and it's not monotony of grind. You sit there, you run in the background, we are running in a circle for what, an hour and a half straight. Like, what is that? That definitely gets a little tiring after your 300th hour in the game.
So that's probably a good segue into some of the feedback we get into. I'll say that this is similar to the feedback that I myself have passed along and am personally feeling, which is that basically what you're watching on screen right now, which is me just going until a 9,000 kill streak, you're watching optimal gameplay at this level. This is essentially what you do. Now, you can watch this for literally an hour straight of me going around in a circle killing these mobs. It may seem extremely repetitive. That's because it is. Now, here's the thing. We could argue that this is bad gameplay design, and it might actually be, but I think it's more around the caps, to be honest, which we'll get into. Or we could argue that Diablo monster slaying is quite literally the point of this game, and it seems to me like they're trying to intend this game to be casual. Like, from what I'm seeing in the game, it does not seem like it was intended to be designed to do what we were making out of the game. Like 20 hours the first day, 15 the second, an average of 10 moving on for a month. Like, it, in my own personal opinion, as I've been pushing through the game, it seems like the game is actively trying to tell me, you need to understand, we don't want you to do what you're doing. Is that fair? Have you felt the same way?
Yeah, I feel like along this line, I feel like the beta testers kind of got hoodwinked a little bit, because that was kind of the information, or that was the process that I was going. I'm going to sit there. I need to invest 16 hours a day if I want to be at the top. I get into the game. I invest 16 hours. I'm at the top. There's nothing for me to do. Like, I can go run the dungeon. Like, what am I going to do? I don't know. I watched Rich Campbell, the reaction of him not getting to level 60 first, and he's sitting there and he can't do anything. That was exactly my experience. I was sitting there, I'm like, I can't run health on dungeons. There's no one level 60 with me. And then even when there were people there, it's like the amount of XP I'm getting is so low, and the gear is already capped for me. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go load up my second character, I guess, because that's pretty much the only thing I can do at this point.
So do you think that the system, because I actually watched that video of Rich as well, where he was extremely upset about not being able to play with other people. And sure, some of it's for the content and all that, but it's a legitimate point, regardless of the reaction, I feel like, which is that not being able to do things in the game can feel fairly limiting if you need a party of 4. Like, now that we're all at Hell 2+, we need a party of 4 to even be able to do dungeons. I find myself not farming dungeons very often because I don't want to get into a group and then be like, guys, I got to salvage, or do like 2 runs, and then I don't want to grind dungeons for 10 hours straight. I've never been the type that's like, I'm not going to sit there and do that. If it's RuneScape and I'm cutting a tree, I'll cut a tree for 3 days straight with no break. Yeah. But I will not grind these dungeons for that long straight. I refuse to do it for my own sanity. If I was solo, I could see a different scenario where I'm sitting there solo in these dungeons, grinding through while watching TV. I think the point may be I think, again, this is design intent where they're trying to make the game into a social, casual Diablo experience. Things like what we experienced in the Rite of Exile, where you're supposed to group up in the drama and the survival and all of that is literally design intent. And I think that because of what I've understood about why it's design intent, about the social dynamics of interaction will drive gameplay, I think that's the same reason we're seeing this here. My question to you is, do you think this is a correct assessment from Blizzard to have it where you have to be in parties, or do you think this is legitimately hurting the game more than it's helping the social aspect?
Wow, that's definitely a hard question, because there's 2 points to it. There's definitely like the hardcore grinders. Like, for myself, I want to start doing Hell 3 dungeons soon, just because that's kind of, it's just piquing my interest. I want to see the big numbers on my gear. And so I'm not going to have a group for at least another week. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. So from that perspective, like, I'm not even pushing my main character, because I can farm Hell 3 dungeons, but I don't have a group. But on the other side, like, I've never, ever hung out in voice chat as much as I have. I've never chatted with the clan as much as I have. I've never like joined in random Discord chats like from other servers. Like, I've never done that before, just because like there's been no point. So I will say that from a casual perspective, like, I think Blizzard, honestly, and I've said this before, but I think they nailed their target audience. Yeah. Absolutely, like 1000%. They did an amazing job, and I think it shows. Like,
you know what's crazy is, like, as you say that, I can see in my head already the hate comments going, where it's like, why are you shilling for Blizzard and all this? But it's like, what people don't understand is the point you're making is not that Blizzard is this amazing benevolent company that is giving an amazing game to people. The point you're making is what they targeted before they created the game. Like, they said, look, here's the percentage of people we know are purchasing our products. This right here, this percentage is the one we're targeting specifically. And I feel that in this game, the target audience is so counter to what the original concept of Diablo. It's quite literally the polar opposite, in my opinion, of what Diablo originally was, which is probably adding on to all the negative feedback. And then we get into pay to win and all that, which we'll discuss here in just a moment. But I actually really want to agree with you on this point here. I think it's probably the best point made in the video so far, which is that people don't understand if this was the design intent, meaning casual gameplay. If they want casuals, this game is set up to benefit casuals in a way I've literally never seen any other mobile game in my entire time as a professional mobile gamer, whatever meme you want to call me, is I've never seen a game that's set up this much to carry the casuals back up. I mean, it's ridiculous. I did a dungeon last night with my buddy. It was Paragon 13. I'm Paragon 45. We were grinding, and in the time that I got a bar, he got like 2 levels. It was like, it wasn't even close. And it felt to me like me and Kyra Mobile were both playing. We were playing with J-Gigs. And at the time we said, bro, all this makes me want to do is because we're literally seeing him gain levels faster than us gaining bars. We were like, all we want to do is log on and alt. That's what it made us want to do. And I don't know, how are you feeling about alts? Is that pushing you towards alts because of the casual aspect?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, part of me actually enjoys that aspect because I'm the type of player, like I load up other MMO, Guild Wars 2. You see my account, I have 16 different characters. Why? Because I love playing all the different races. I love playing all the different classes. I love just all the variety. And so this is actually very encouraging for me because especially not only as a player, but as a content creator, I feel like you can inform yourself on all these different classes, enjoy them, hang out with people, and just not necessarily take the game as seriously, but still be competitive. The person that reminds me of this is Smiley. I mean, he's in our warband, our group of 8. He literally took like 3-day break. He comes back and he's stronger than some other warband members in a day because he spent 8 hours playing just because of how much catch-up experience there is and overall just catch-up mechanics in the game.
So it's probably a good transition then. Let's talk about Smiley here. So Smiley spent a good amount of money, as has Kyra Mobile, as has myself, as have you. And I think the reason I'm saying this is a good transition is, do you believe the design intent of the casual atmosphere is to make it where the average who is the casual gamer, plays a few days, does not get discouraged from seeing other levels and other progression patterns that people have pushed past them and they feel devalued for their money, aka encouraging monetization? Do you think this is actually the design intent, or do you think they literally are thinking, look, everyone's going to hate the game if they're playing a phone game for 20 hours and they understand this concept too? Because I've seen both aspects. I've been a mobile gamer long enough to know if you actually grind out a mobile game non-stop for a long period of time, you will eventually hate like 99% of these mobile games. And we can make the argument it's by design of the mobile games. And maybe I would actually agree with most of those points, but that's kind of how I see it currently. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting point because when I think of mobile games, I think gacha games, right? And like 90% of the gameplay is not playing the game. So this is one of the only mobile games that I've truly played that you sit down and actively play the game. And so I think that the fact that Blizzard causes everyone basically lots of gameplay time, about anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, depending on how you want to look at it. That's kind of how I see the daily gameplay time. I think that when you have people, the person who comes to mind here also is roles. Like we have someone in our clan that spends a lot of money and enjoys the game, but he doesn't play nearly as much as some of the other players. I think it's actually very encouraging to see, like, you know, hey, like I can log in, I can play 4 hours a day and, you know, I can drop a little bit of money and still be stronger than everyone around me just because I don't need to invest that huge amount of grind time. That's not to say that you don't need to play 2 to 4 hours a day. Like that's still a solid time investment, but it's definitely nowhere near anything that you'd find in a standard PC MMO. But I think that's definitely encouraging for monetization. And I also think there's another portion of it. I think they've got the battle pass Andes and they've gotten the big old whale, casual whale audience. Like I think those are the perfect ways to kind of enjoy the game. So the whale audience itself, let's talk about whaling, because we have both spent a good amount of money. You don't have to disclose how much you spent if you want to. I've spent $700. I know there's people in the clan that have spent upwards of a couple $1,000s at this point. And I think there's one person in all 3 of our clans who spent maybe like $5,000, maybe. Like, I think that's probably less, probably like 3 or 4 maybe. But I mean, I think that's where, in fact, the entirety of the servers, I don't think there's anyone on the server that's probably spent over $5,000, right? No, I don't think so. I really don't. So
let's talk about what you actually get for your money. I think we can all agree that this game is pay to win. I don't think that there's any argument about the aspect that the game is pay to win. So I think any comments were like, this is pay to win garbage. It's like, we all agree this is pay to win. We enjoy the game for what it is, but there is no counter argument to that for us. What we're going to do instead, I think, is discuss when you do spend money, what it actually feels like, to hopefully give an understanding for the people who aren't spending money. I will start. Spending money in this game for the first couple $100 feels like pretty good dopamine. You feel like you're upgrading fairly fast. You feel like you're getting addicted to the spending. You feel like it's fun and it's social, especially with the gambling aspect. There's pack offers that will pop up. I have my own problems with the pack offers and offering only the non-Eternal version of Legendary Crest. I've already covered that in another video. I'm not going to rant about it in this one. But what I would say is there's pop-up offers that are better value than the non-pop-up offers. There's also the weekly recurring offers, which are like not that great of deals, in my own personal opinion. They're
bad, I think.
Yeah, they're actually like fairly standard or worse than standard pricing, considering that they, again, don't give you the tradable versions of it. I myself have experienced the first couple $100 feeling good as a dopamine well, someone who likes dopamine, tell you. After that, the next 500 and my 700 all felt like dog water. It all felt terrible. I felt like every single $100 was either literally giving me 0 upgrade or like a couple combat rating. I saw somebody who spent $700 yesterday and gained less. I think it was like 96 combat rating or something for $700. We're talking after the first bit. They have tiers, which is hilarious because in game there's literally tiers for the wings, which you have tier 1 wings. Tier 1 wings are about $500. You have tier 2 wings, which are approximately $3,500, $3,000, $3,500, depending upon your luck. Then you have Giga Chad wings, tier 3, which are $25,000 plus. And these aren't really like numbers that, if you're too lucky, are going to change. Even if you're lucky, it's going to change the quality, not the quantity, because you have to realize you have to spend so much money in order to get duplicates of the legendary gems, which is where all the welling is. And if you want the Giga Chad wings or anything, we're talking like obscene amounts of money. So my personal opinion on this is that this game is actually not friendly at all to anyone but Battle Pass Andes, like you're saying, for $5, which in my opinion, that's the best. Spend $5. I've said this since the beginning, and it's confirmed since playing the game. Spend $5. Do not spend any more money. In my own personal opinion, the game is designed for that. It's designed for casuals. But would you like to go into some of your personal opinion on the details you felt as you've continued to spend money at the different tiers?
Yeah, so I actually come from a perspective where I've played every single mobile game free to play. This is the first game where I've actually spent money in, and I've spent a lot of money in. I think I'm at,
it's actually crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm at 1,100 for Diablo Immortal at the moment. And it was way more than I was initially spending. And it was mainly due to, because the game is pay to win, I wanted to give a better chance to see if we can go ahead and take out some players.
Sure.
But like I started out, okay, I'm going to buy the battle pass. I'm going to see what packs arrive. And I've realized that, to me, like I enjoy the market. Like that's actually a fun aspect of the game to me. And so, as you're saying, the bundles don't really offer the marketable gems. So I'm like, okay, I want to spend my money on the marketable gems because that's a fun part of the game to me. And so my first $200 was, as you're saying, really amazing because the packs are actually really good. Like even though they're not marketable gems, you could still have obscene value. Now, again, comparing at the beginning of the game to now, not to anything else, but you get a lot more value out of those packs initially. And that's what I was feeling, I mean, the favorite story of that is, you load up the bundles, you get Smiley getting a 5 out of 5 Rift number 2. Everyone's sitting there like, I got to get my 5 out of 5. Like that was just how it was. And, you keep chasing that or you keep buying the packs. You're at your $400 and you're like, okay, this is feeling pretty good. I'll load up another $100. You're like, okay, that was pretty mediocre. And then you load up another $100. Like, okay, this is getting a little terrible. And, it's kind of funny because I'm on the math side of things. So like we've kind of run a little bit of rough math and it looks like it costs like $10 per combat rating on average from the tier 1 wings to the tier 2. Yeah. And then to go to tier 2 to tier 3 wings, it's like $50 a combat rating. It's absolutely absurd.
It gets a little bit, I think the word would probably be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So as time goes on and as people who are watching this who may be starting the game later or are currently going into the game, I want to make one point too that we've sort of touched on this, that the game's great for casuals, but I don't know if I explicitly mentioned the pay-to-win problems are only at the top. So basically, if you are chasing your leaderboards, and I had a conversation with Jay Giggs last night, who was asking me about legendary gems and about spending money. Me and Kyra Mobile talked to him about it. And basically, he's Paragon 15. He's not like at the top end, but he's like, what should I buy that, help me out, give me advantage or whatever? And we said nothing. You should buy literally nothing and hoard all of your materials and do nothing but just play the game. I think this is my advice to everyone who might be hearing this conversation about pay to win, because here's why. I myself am a different type of spender than I believe you are. In my personal opinion, the reason I spend is because I get into a social call like the Discord and I start talking to people, and you've seen this with me. I'll be like, let's go, boys. One time, no, $25 rift. And it's literally, I almost don't even care if I get something. I just want to go do the rift with you. I want to go do it with Kyre. I just want to go YOLO rift and see what people get. And just, it's almost like going to the bar as a group and doing a round of shots. Like, that's what it feels like to me. And that's probably, I don't know if that's predatory. I don't know if that's understanding good marketing. I don't know if that's Let's Go Welling, where he breaks down all the different types of spenders. You sell the competitive advantage to the killers, and you sell the customization to the optimizers. And, everyone's seen that video at this point. But what I can tell you is that it works on me. Like, the social aspect of this game works on me. I can see it working on me as I do it. And it's working so well to the point of I almost don't even mind it. I'm almost willing to have that trade. And then I have to look in the mirror and ask myself, why am I willing to spend $700 on a mobile game in 2022 when I could buy at least a half gallon of gas for that? And it's a hard question for me to be able to answer. And I come down to the fact they did a good job implementing a place for us all to gather together, which, when you think about it, to your point, you're always in the Discord and all that. It's the design of the game. It's designed to have survivor and backstabs and all this stuff with the way the right works. I think everything is designed for the casual social player to come together and have a casual, fun money spending experience. Is that fair? Or what's your
Absolutely.
aspect on the social aspect as tied to social aspect with the monetization of the game? Do you have any opinions about that?
I mean, it is, they're one and the same. Like, I don't think that, John and I were talking about this last night. He was saying, we were talking and we were like, yeah, maybe once a week we would get together in a call, talk about like Ace, because we were covering Awakened Chaos Arrow just before this. And we would go and talk about the game or whatever. Now it's every night we're in there, and it's every night where we're all like, oh, are you wailing out today? Are you running the $25 rifts? Or are you want to go ahead and run one with me or whatever it is? It's never like, oh, I want to go run one by myself. If I'm running one, I'm asking clan chat, like, hey, anyone running one out there? Like, you want to join me? It's never a solo experience. And it's just because, like, everything in this game, as we've said, is designed to get you to party with someone, whether it's requirement or recommendation. It's always feels better to party up with people, chat with them, and share your experience, because it's so easy to do so. It's so easy to do so.
I want to make one point, which is that partying together is not something that only WoWs have to do, which is, I think, something that's misunderstood. Very often people are saying, like, the WoWs will only group up together. I actually thought this would be the strategy originally as well. And then once I got into the game and in PvP and in all competitive stuff, absolutely, sure. Leaderboard stuff, absolutely, the WoWs are going to group up together. But what's interesting is when it comes to the actual gameplay, like when you log on with your phone and you're sitting here and you're like, I'm going to play an hour. It doesn't matter who you party with. The only thing that matters is if they can do the dungeon. Sure, the speed of the dungeon will differ depending upon strength level and all that. But it matters if they can do the dungeon if you're doing it. It matters if you have 4 people. It matters if they want to do the vault. I don't care. Like, I'll take randoms at some point, which is interesting to me, because that would incline to lean itself towards the free-to-play aspect of this game. When it comes to the social aspect, is identical. The only difference is when you join the party of people running the tin bangers, you don't get to put in your tin banger yourself. So the only part that actually changes the actual way the game works for the free-to-play people in terms of how they can interact with the WoWs is in their head. That's it. It's the mental side of it.
Yep. And, we were running a little bit of test ourselves. You can run in with free-to-play players. Like, I've done dungeons with free-to-play players. What's interesting is the way they set up the stats in the game, the combat rating. It's more of like a gear check rather than a stat that you want to progress. Like once you've reached that stat, I'm literally 1,000 combat rating above hell 2, and I get 20% extra damage. It's nothing. Someone could have 1,400 combat rating, which is 200 above, and they could get 5% extra damage.
To cut in real quick on this point to add validity to it, because we lost the Immortal battle, I, as the leader, just have a 12% damage and life bonus just across the board. I just get it for being the clan leader of the Shadow that didn't make the Immortal. So I literally get that. I get over half of the max cap of pay to win in terms of combat rating. That's because the secret is life and damage, right? Like that's kind of where it comes from.
And it doesn't save you any time. That's like if you're playing. Usually what we do is we pair one spender with the free to play, because free to play get the Fading Ember, and all the people who are spending already have the Fading Ember for Elder Rifts. And so you pair your spenders with your free to play, and they're all hanging out together. Or you're running dungeons, and you just get a group. That's your whole goal. Just get a group. Doesn't matter. You're going to probably waste more time finding maybe 1 or 2 seconds off your run because you want to play with a whale, over just getting into a group with free to play. You'll save way more time doing that. And that's what I end up doing too. I'm like, hey, I'll join a random. I do that when I'm sitting in bed, it's midnight, no one's online. I'll pop a queue for dungeons and just play with whoever's on.
So the social aspect we've covered pretty good. I think it's fair to say, just to wrap it up, that in my personal opinion, the social aspect is more fun if you enjoy gambling in the social aspect as well. However, it's quite literally the same, except maybe you're not the top of like the DPS chart, which isn't even in the game, by the way. So you don't even have to worry about like dick measuring contests if you're not looking at the leaderboards. Like they can't even shame you unless you actually look at your Shadow War damage, which is so hidden and no one almost even cares about it, to the point of like you can just basically be free to play and almost no one would know unless they actually look at you. You're not comparing the challenge rifts and the PvP leaderboard. It doesn't matter. But there's one part of the challenge rifts that even if you're free to play, you can get carried by a well. And what's hilarious is the solo challenge rifts don't matter at all. The only ones that matter are the challenge rifts with groups of other players. Again, the social dynamic of it. Meaning, if you know a singular well, like let's say you're friends with the well on the server who's the highest challenge rift just period, you're going to be the highest challenge rift period as well, in 2s, 3s, and 4s. And those are the only other challenge. So that's 3 out of 4 of the challenge rifts. The only other one is solos, which you can't do because you're free to play, which is fucking worthless anyway. And then if you're top 10, you get the same reward. Whereas the challenge rifts, you get rank 1, 2, 3, 4. You get actually different rewards for different tiers, all of which are fairly substantial because it's required for the blacksmith. So free to play can get carried by wells too. Again, another social dynamic. Do you think that part's on purpose, or do you think that just happened to be a...
I think you literally find it in every area of the game. Like it's absolutely true. The solo player leaderboards, I've stopped pushing. I do it when I get more combat rating. That's it. Why? Because you get 500 hilts if you're rank 1 to 10. Yeah. 500 hilts. That's it. Who cares about that? You don't even get the unique upgrade material that's unique to challenge rifts if you're on the solo player leaderboards. You only get that within groups. To go even further, the whole clan system is set up so you have a top 5% whales, and then the rest can be free to play or whoever plays the game. Yeah. And you can see this in the Rite of Exile. This is something that we've recently found out. I was like, well, since there's only 3 people in the Rite of Exile, you can basically have 3 whales, and then the rest, as long as they're playing, they're contributing as much as the next guy. If they've spent $20,000 and you're free to play, if you're not competing, then you're providing the exact same value as a player towards your clan. And I think that it's actually done everywhere. Like all the whales are like the top 5%. And then you have like all the free-to-play players just mingling in with everyone, kind of benefiting from their spending.
So we've talked about pay to win a good deal. This has been the majority of the conversation of this video. So I want to wrap up with some feedback then about pay to win. If we could change the pay to win. So now that we've talked about what the problem is, how the people are responding to the way we're addressing the problem, let's talk about how we can actually fix the problem. If pay to win is the problem, why is it the problem, and how do we address this? What part of the game is it ruining? Do we know what part of the game pay to win is ruining? It's leaderboards, right?
Leaderboards and PvP to some extent, yeah, for sure.
Okay. How do we fix the PvP? I'll go first on this, which is stop resetting the rank down to absolute zero after every write. This is going to happen all the time, which means that it's literally RNG. Like, there's people that are rank 1 with 40% win rate in the game right now, because what's happening is you RNG your way. It's just whatever the largest whale is on whatever side wins. It's just random. And because everyone's at rank 1, so you're playing with all the low rank people and you're playing with the whales. And so the largest whale wins, and it's pretty much that simple. So you're throwing a coin like every single time when it starts, because everyone else is more or less going to get like 3-shot by whoever the biggest whale is on both sides. And it does not feel good. And this is going to happen fairly often, like almost every Sunday. So for me, I think it should be more akin to League. Maybe have MMR and then a placement matchment, or have it just demote you by 1 rank like some of the other games do, like 1 full tier. So you go from Legend to like Gold, the bottom of Gold 1, or from like Gold 1 if you're Gold 1 to like Silver 1. Like, I think it would make more sense to go in implementation of that. But do you have an opinion on this take?
I absolutely agree. I was actually recording a video yesterday because I enjoy doing like fun PvP builds and then recording it for people. I recorded my full Damage Crusader build, and I didn't realize that the ranks got reset after every write. And again, we've spent money in this game, and I ran in and I deleted the recording because I ran into a group of 6 people, and these people were like Paragon 10. Like, they weren't just not spending, they were just not grinding. Like, these people just didn't play the game. I had better gear, I spent a little bit of money, and I one-shot 6 people, 1v6, because they were like 20k HP because they barely got to level 60 and tried a PvP match. And I had been playing PvP for the past 2 weeks, and that's just how it worked. So that was an absolutely absurd system. I have no idea why they do that. And on top of that, I really like to see, granted, I don't know if we'll ever see it, but I'd love to see a pure skill grouped PvP game mode where you can group, let's say it's warband based and you have 8 people, or maybe it's dual party based, or maybe even duos or trios. And you can't really do trios because it's 8 people, but some sort of party match where the only thing that matters is a bolstered stat. So everyone goes to the same stats and you just do your PvP match like that. I'd love to see a game mode like that. Don't know if we would, but I think it's very fun. A lot of other MMOs do that, and I think it's always really enjoyable because it's purely skill-based.
I would also like to see a skill-based matchmaking queue, even if they want to just make it casual so that the whales still have incentive to do the ranked one. Sure, that is the differences in stats are normalized. We know that they can do it in Elder Rift. Whales and free-to-play are basically going to do Elder Rift at the same speed regardless. I would like to see that same implementation in a PvP mode, so that people who just want to PvP for the fun of it, regardless of rank and rewards, could be able and actually do that. This might split the queue and might have problems with population and all that. There's one other issue going forward that I think hasn't been addressed too much, which is that when server merges come, and they will come because it's a mobile game, it is going to change the entire dynamic of each and every one's servers, and you guys best be prepared to have new whales that you were not planning to have in prior. So do you have a take on server merges coming? I'm assuming it'd be at least 3 months out, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, it's it'll be a sad time is what I think for myself. Admittedly, our server is one of the least deep servers. Like it's
top
it's
guys
really
less than 5K. Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, if you go and look, like you have some of the servers there, maxed accounts, literally maxed accounts already. And we're talking, I mean, double my stats. And I'm someone who has spent a decent amount. So it'll be a sad time, and definitely not something that I will be able to compete with ever. But I think that overall, it'll be, if they decide to go with server merges, I really hope that we also encourage some other game modes that will be benefiting from the extra population. Like, at the same time, if they decide to add a game mode that requires more of a population, like that PvP standard game mode, I think that the server merge will actually be a good thing. Yeah, the people at the top will no longer be able to beat the other people at the top, or maybe there will be a competition there, but at least you'll have more people to play with. And overall, I think that, yeah, right now we have a lot of a player drop-off because it's a new game, 2 weeks in, people are leaving the game, but with population merges, your queue times will be faster, hopefully, and you'll have a bunch of people that are actually playing the game because this is 3 months in, so these are people that are actually dedicated to the game. And so I think overall, like for someone like myself, I actually have more opportunities to enter Hell 3. I'll have more opportunities to enter Hell 2. People who are actually grinding the game. So I think overall, I'll probably benefit more than I'll lose, even though I'll probably drop off the top 10 leaderboards most likely.
All right. Well, the last thing, do you have any one particular thing you would like to change about the game? If you had one golden ticket that it can be minor, it can be major, what is it that currently instantly comes to your head that's just like, this needs to change without thinking too much?
Have my ults impact my main account somehow.
Ooh. Okay.
I really want to be able to log onto an ult, grind away, experience a different class, and then overall progress my account, whether that's like an account-bound resource that I could spend in a shop, or if it's like a global account paragon level, or maybe it's sharing of legendary resource, something like that. I'd love that.
Fading Embers are now account-wide bound, but the weekly cap is individual per character, meaning that you can farm all your alts for all your Fading Embers every week to get quicker legendary gems as free to play. It requires a lot more playing, a lot more in-game, and a lot more micromanaging, but you can get more Fading Embers. You could get 5 times as many, which would give you 5 every 10 days, which would be a much more reasonable free-to-play way. I think that's how I would change that. But in order to not steal yours, I'm going to go with my own, which is that there needs to be better leveling methods. I don't think that going in and spamming Elder Rift, spamming dungeons, or spamming the overworld is that awesome. I think we literally should have a cow level or something. Like, just put the cow level in the game, have it be the grindable spot, the meme, have it be where like you queue with other people, you like social stuff, have it be 4-man, find party, you click, you go in there, it's a big mob grinding dungeon, you get exponential bonus if you keep like the kills going longer, even more so than normal. Have it be a literal XP grinding thing. You still get your XP reduction cap, you still get your social dynamic, you still get your wells and everyone together. It doesn't have to be locked by combo rating, it can be an Elder Rift thing. Hell, you could even have it be it costs 1 legendary crest to unlock or something, really pay to win if you wanted to do it. All I'm saying is we need a way that we don't all go somewhere and see 50 spooners. Like, you can't.
To add to that, this is something, I love that idea. I played, I don't know if you've played Guild Wars 2, but there's meta events like the Haunted Carriage. But the way they structure it is when everyone joins in, the difficulty scales, the whole difficulty. So like when you're doing the Haunted Carriage right now, it spawns 6 skeletons. Whether you got 100 people there or 2, it spawns 6 skeletons. But one of the best ways to level in Guild Wars 2 is to get together with literally 100 people and run around the map together. I love if they have zone events all day and it scales. So when those skeletons spawn, instead of spawning 6, it spawns, I don't know, 60 yellows. Like, can you imagine if that happened? Like, that would be crazy fun to see all your people in the same area and level that way. That's how I would do it. It's just amplify the zone events by a massive amount, because I think they're the most fun parts of the game.
I agree. Or have item salvage be where you can buy experience orbs for a certain amount of item salvage or something. Like, there needs to be a reason to do more in the game. The only reason to continue playing the game after about 5 hours at the top is Paragon levels, or trying to get better rows on your gear. That's it, right? I mean, there's literally nothing else to do.
No, there is not.
So that's going to wrap it up. I think we've talked about the feedback, the casual aspect of it, covered pretty much most of the pay to win in fairly large detail. Thanks for coming on, Veldshot. Do you have anything you want to say at the end here?
Nope. I guess if you don't enjoy the game, then move on.
Yeah, you don't like it, don't play it. I think it's, and to be honest, like, I think we all recommend at most spending $5, right? I mean, I don't think I've seen anyone who said anything other than just buy the Battle Pass, ignore the monetization system. We're all on the same page. It's not very good.
Yeah, no, it's more fun for the Battle Pass. I've played other alts. I enjoy the Battle Pass more than my main account oftentimes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this was Veldshot, the Rank 1 Crusader currently, or competing for Rank 1. We'll be nice and say that as well to the others, to tip the hat to Gosu and Najimbo as well. Go support him and let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me at YouTube and Veldshot Gaming, or Veldshot/Diablo Immortal, or on Twitch. I'm at Veldshot, twitch.tv/Veldshot. Stream usually later in the day. Got to get the late night grind on where no one's at. So, yeah.
All that will be in the pinned comment. You can just go down to the comments, click on it. You can find them there. Love you all. Thanks for coming by, Veltshot, and we'll see you on the live streams.
See you later.